I don't believe in the reason I am the way is because my parent was that way. I think we all have a choice.
So it sounds like you believe your choices dictate your future more than anything.
Yeah, for sure. We are 100% responsible for everything that happens to us. And when I say everything, I mean everything.
Yeah, and it's your unique gifting and identity and skills that God has given you. And you're operating within that with excellence. So last year, I go to this event to speak at Modesto, California. And I'm at this event, and this female comes out, and she begins to speak. And I was immediately impressed. And what's really cool is we've gotten the opportunity to do some business together. And I've been watching you for a while, and I'm following you, and I've been on calls with you, and I've had conversations with you. And I felt a tug in my heart that I had to get you on this podcast. That there was going to be an amazing conversation. Lives were going to be changed. So guys, let me welcome my guest, because she's a powerhouse. Alexandra Rodriguez is a serial entrepreneur. She owns multiple businesses. She's an absolute boss in the marketplace. But I know even just from the conversations I've had with you, and there's a thread, it's not for me how successful you are in the marketplace. It's the heart of who you are behind that success. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Cody. I don't belong here, guys. I really don't. I don't know why he called me over, but heck, he wants to have a conversation. Let's talk. Thank you for seeing
look at that
me, the eyes
humility
that you're seeing me in. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I pray that you see yourself in that way, because God has always given me a gift to see something in people they don't always see in themselves. And I've always had that gift since a young boy, and I didn't know how to use it when I was young. Like, I'd get so frustrated, but you don't realize how amazing you are. And people then see it, and maybe that's why you're here too. I'm mirroring that back to you today.
Oh, thank you. Yes. You know, it is very hard to see myself the way others have, because even the way I started social media just last year, and the person who got me into it was the host, you know, Andy Zamora. Shout out to him.
Let's go, Andy.
I know he made me. He told me like I should be out there, because I had a trolling account. I was hidden, and I didn't really feel like I should be out there, because you know the world is a little scary. You know, in business it's already scary, but imagine just putting yourself out there. And he told me that I had a lot to share, that I had a lot of knowledge, but it didn't seem fair to me, because everything I gain, it's easy. Like, you know, you've learned so much, and to use like, oh, I got it, AI, boom, it's easy. And then somebody else comes and you're like, oh, this is really simple. It's not a big deal. But then when they look at you and everything you've accomplished, they're like, that's a huge deal. Everything you've done. And so that's when you stop and smell the roses, when people actually grab you and they say, stop, look behind you, look what you've done. And you're like, but wait, I'm still going. You're like, stop, look. And you look and you're like, you know, it's just work. And you're like, no, it's not ordinary. You know, that's extraordinary.
It's uncommon.
It's uncommon, you know? So, and I'm like, I guess you're right. You know, I do look around people and I see, why don't they do what I'm doing? It's simple, guys. Let's just, you know, business, and let's do this and let's do that and let's move on. And I guess I have to be told, you know, it's not ordinary.
And it's your unique gifting and identity and skills that God has given you. And you're operating within that with excellence, which I think, for one, you have a unique gifting. Maybe not everybody's going to be as good at building business like you are, right? There is differences in talents that we're given. However, you're also operating with excellence and diligence in that. And that's the other part of that, where a lot of people are actually quite lazy, and that's why they don't have that. So when they see you going for it, they're like, I'm not doing that.
Last night, I picked up one of my girlfriends from the airport, and then she just said, because she knows, you know, I came from Las Vegas, I'm here in San Diego, I go down to TJ, from TJ, I then go to Miami to my other shop, and I'm constantly traveling. I hardly have time. And she says, how do you do it? How do you have the energy to do it? And I'm just like, what do you mean? This is normal. And she's like, no, it's not. I'm like, you don't stop. How do you have it in you? To me, it's like, well, it's not that I have it in me. It's just what I have to do, what I ought to do. And the bigger I get, the more I feel like I have to push on more, because I have more responsibilities, you know?
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. Well, I want to ask you a question as we really get into things. And I like to ask this to a lot of my guests. And it's, Alexandra, what do you value most in life?
Oh, my God. My relationship with God. Yeah. I think that's my number one thing that keeps me up. and my whole day. I think that's who I think about. And I think making him proud or disappointing him. I think that's my biggest concern, is that he accepts me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. Now, did you always have that belief system? Were you raised that way, or did you find it later in life?
I was raised that way by my mom, but basically my dad. When I was a little girl, he did teach me about God, but he himself wandered off. He got into addiction.
Yeah.
And I lost him. I mean, he's still alive, but I lost who he was as a person. I think I have to say when I was probably when I was 11, 12.
Wow.
He was never the same again until now. You know, he's not the same person.
That's so tough.
Yeah. It's everyone's choice in life, you know, and it's not a lot of people know that of me, of that I have, you know, the parent that I have, but because I don't believe in the reason I am the way is because my parent was that way. I think we all have a choice. Like I could have had a great dad, and it's still my choice to be have the life that I have.
Yeah.
And I could have a crappy dad, and the life that I have is still my choice. It has
so it sounds like you believe your choices dictate your future more than anything. Yeah,
for sure. We are 100% responsible for everything that happens to us. And when I say everything, I mean everything. If I told you like that you know, I have an employee who I fired because she ended up embezzling in my company, that's my fault. People are like, what? It's like, yeah. There's something that I didn't do, that I failed in, that she felt like she could do that.
Yeah, when I hear that, I think of extreme ownership.
Yeah.
Right, and I think I share a similar philosophy, right? Like taking self-responsibility and extreme ownership for every area of my life. Even when you could argue it's not your fault, there's the ownership of the situation still happened, but how can I learn from this so it doesn't happen again?
Correct.
Right, and that's wisdom right there. And most people like to point the finger.
Yeah, no, I've made decisions, and my company has suffered for it. My employees suffer for it, and I look at all of them and I tell them, hey, I made a really bad decision, guys. This is looking at more than 10 faces, right? Looking at you, and I'm sorry. I did something that was not right. We suffered financially for it, but I'm going to be better next time, and I truly apologize. I'm 100% responsible for the choice that I made that led us here in this moment.
But that's leadership, right? The implications of leadership are that you take responsibility for everything that happens as the leader. You're transparent, you're vulnerable, you communicate. This is good leadership. Doesn't mean it always happens and modeled, right? And I actually believe that the people that work for you respect you more when you do that, and they'll follow you more because you own it and you say, this is my fault. As long as you tell them, you continue to cast vision of this is what I'm doing to lead us out of this.
Yes.
To not let this happen again.
Correct. Yeah. During COVID, right, my employees looked towards me like, you know, they asked, are we going to shut down? Are we're wearing masks or gloves? Are you going to get the vaccine? You know, they would look to me, and I never told them what to do or what not to do, but I would give them, hey, let's look at the metrics. Let's look at the stats. You know, I'm a numbers girl.
Yeah, you are.
You know, so
she's a boss at it. Don't let her fool you.
Hey guys, you know, just look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. You know, is this really something that we should be worried about? Like, you know, and they do look to me. So, which is why I travel, why I create another business and another one, and you know, juggling all these, you know, companies, because I feel a really big responsibility for the people that are there for me.
Yeah.
You know, huge, like as if, you know, if I stopped, then how would they work? How would they eat? How could they feed their families? You know, and I don't have any children, but I was listening to it was I'm not sure, it was a podcast or an interview with Patrick David and a really boss CEO, and she said, you know, I'm a mom and I've been a CEO, and I'll tell you, the hardest thing from either being a mom or being a CEO has been starting a business from scratch. It's harder than being a mother. And I meditated on that, and I said that's true, because when you're a parent, you give birth to your children and you love them innately. It's in you.
Yeah.
But when you have employees, you didn't give birth to them. You don't automatically love them, you know? So that's hard. It's hard to care and genuinely love them and their family, and know that they're going to pay their bills, and you know that they're going to, be fine financially. And as a leader, as a boss, you make decisions sometimes that hurt you just so that they can be okay.
Yeah.
And there's no family or blood connection.
Yeah. Well, you've done some cool things. How many businesses do you have right now?
Succeeding. Just kidding.
Right, because that's the thing that
I'll probably have about 7.
Okay.
Yeah, so 7 that I can think of. But I have like small little partnerships here and there that or investments that I don't necessarily.
And where I'm getting though is juggling that much, right?
Yeah.
And you're a female Latina entrepreneur that owns multiple businesses. Like, that's a boss, and it's probably been very hard to get where you're at. And I say that because I know that you've probably had to fight to get where you're at. Can you share a little bit with the journey? I feel like there are women out there that hear where you're at now. And maybe they're still working a job and just wanting to start their first business. Or maybe they just started a business, but it's not going very well. Give us some wisdom to your journey. How did you get to starting one business, let alone 7?
Well, I didn't really start business. It was something I felt like I had to do, like I was telling you, so that my family survives. My mom and dad went through a really bad split, and the women sort of went one way and the men went the other way. So it was like a gender split, which is really odd. So they had a little tax office, my mom and dad, and so the divorce sort of separated them. And my brother went with my dad, and then I stood with my mom, and they took about 80% of the business. And seeing that, I think survival mode kicked in, and then knowing that I think in the world of finance, men are reverted more to be, I guess you could say, more wise or financially more intellectual than women, because whenever there was a client, it happened to me many times, and we were juggling this client, me and my brother, he always tended to beat that client over. And I always thought like, oh, he's a man. So what I have to do is I have to diversify, like he has that, he took, that tax office, and then I have this little tax office with my mom. So I think that I got to diversify. So he's going to beat me in taxes. I know that every year he's going to be making a lot more money with a lot more clients. So what I got to do is I got to find my funds, and I got to find other businesses to do. Okay. So where are we? 2008. Okay. There's a housing crash. Maybe I can get into the housing. And lo and behold, people started coming into my life, and I opened up a staffing company for business events. And then I put my money into flipping homes. I ended up flipping about 50 of them in like 10 years.
Come on.
And I bought my house in 2010. And then, and just finding opportunity, there was someone that came into my life in 2009. And he was a mentor of mine. That's who I'm going to go see after.
Yeah.
Down to
in San Diego?
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. So he said, don't chase, your dreams, your passion. Chase opportunity. Whenever the door opens for you and you see there's an opportunity, she says, chase that. So, if I would have really followed my passion, I would have been dancing. I used to be a dancer.
Okay, so that was the passion you had.
That was a passion. I did ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop. I was salsa dancing.
Come on, I'm learning new stuff about you.
Yeah, so I did that professionally for about, a few years. And I loved it, but it didn't really pay the bills, and I didn't feel any type of fulfillment. It was just like, oh, I put on a show and great. People just admired me, but I wasn't doing anything for humanity or anything for other people's lives and impacting them, right? So I think that's what really brings happiness is changing other people's lives for the better.
Come on.
So when I started investing in these other businesses, because I knew that if I went head to head with the male world of finance
here.
Yeah,
from brother and sister.
Yes. So he would completely annihilate me. Again, they had taken over 80% of the clients. So let's move forward 8 years later. We meet again. I didn't speak to him for 8 years. I didn't speak to my father for 5 years. And we meet again, and we sort of compare our finances, and when we did, I cried. I actually teared up because I lived those years, and there's a lesson here for I guess women, or when they're going through something, especially when they're competing in a world where it's male dominated, right? It's a business, and it should be, by the way. I actually do believe that the business world should be male but dominated.
Why?
I've had to give up a lot of things to be in this world, and I'm fully aware and responsible for it. And I know that there's things that I'm gonna lack as a a woman, and fulfillment as a woman.
Yeah.
And I know. So that's another subject. But when we got together, we sort of like compared, like, how we both grew. And he succeeded. He killed it. He grew thousands of clients, and he just stuck to that. So he got really big. But then when I saw my net worth and all the things that I owned and all the companies that it was, I just, I could not believe that in my mind, I thought that he was a competition, but I was really competing with myself.
Yeah.
Really, because he was in a whole different venue of business, and I completely just became a different entrepreneur than he did.
Yeah.
And and now we're really close. I love my brother so much, and admire him very much as well. So, but yeah, it's my advice to anybody that's out there, even getting started, is don't look at other people, when you're trying to do a business. And if you see that person succeeding, or they have the lifestyle that you want, it has nothing to do with you. It's more like, know yourself, know what you want, know the life that you want to have. And everything else is, it doesn't make any difference to you. You just look at the goal and keep moving forward.
So good.
Yeah, don't pay attention.
Man, you hit on a few things there that we got to talk about. Wow. Okay, so it's interesting with the family and the split, and so you started in business that way, but the competition with your brother of wanting to beat him pushed you to get very creative with your entrepreneurial journey. And then your mentor, I love this, said, look for opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's so valuable of wisdom that I think can be so overlooked by people, because when opportunity knocks, it's not all the time that it does. It can even be rarer when opportunity presents itself, right? It's not like every day there's a million opportunities for great things to come from. And when it comes, it sounds like you were able to identify, in the chaos of the world, the housing market crash, different things, opportunities to start things that created a lot of fruit in your life. Can you give us some practical advice for finding and looking for opportunity in our life? I'm
sure everybody says this all the time, but it's really who you're hanging out with.
Yeah.
The people that you keep in your circle. And I don't necessarily say that you're hanging out with these people, but also in your circle is who you listen to, like podcasts, right? What you're watching, books or movies, music. What is always going in here, right?
The input.
Going up here, the input, and then falling into here, because that's really where it ends up. It's in your heart. So you will see opportunity if you hang out with people that are always investing. If you have agents, real estate agents with you, if you have entrepreneurs, if I move my hands a lot because I
talk with my hands a lot too, and it was so hard to learn not to hit the mic.
I know I used to sign language is one of my third languages, so I can.
You're like talking. Bang.
So sorry, but I think it's that it's who you associate with is either can make you or break you. And my family criticizes me for this because they say that I'm really cold, hardcore, sorry, let's cut that. It's I'm thinking in Spanish.
Yeah.
'Cause when I think of my family, they talk to me in Spanish. So let me get my thought again.
They really cold, hardcore.
So my family says I'm really cold-hearted and that I'm always fighting with people. And I tell them it's not that I'm always fighting with people. It's just that I like to cut people off because I don't want to waste my time. I saw their character. They came into my life. I got to know them. And then I'm just like, okay, you can exit out because I started seeing why they're even here.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I've tried to teach my sisters, because they surround themselves with people that I feel don't help them.
Yeah.
And they're mooching off of them, or they're there to drag them down. And because there's a history with them, or they just don't want the confrontation or the fight, or want to be known as a meanie, they don't get rid of these people. But on the long run, it's like holding on to something, and then you're holding on so hard that your hand is bleeding.
Wow.
So just, when you let go, you feel that much lighter, and so many things open up from there on when you do, hang out with the right people.
So opportunity, and very much being intentional about the input you have,
Yeah,
and who you surround yourself with.
correct.
And then I really want to go deeper into this, because before the show, I asked you if there's anything in this season of your life you feel on your heart to talk about, and you mentioned association, and we just kind of went into that a little bit.
Yeah.
What are you learning right now in your life about association?
It is key. The people that are right next to you, either supporting you in your business, rooting for you, or looking like they're rooting for you.
Yeah.
Or someone that comes in and just prompts you up and says, "Hey, I want to partner with you," or I want some of what you're doing, and you sort of, see what they came in for, and it really wasn't what it was, and it just wasted your time and money and resources. And I don't have any time for that anymore. I don't have time to have people come and just bring me their problems or their baggage. And that has, to me, it has really, I guess, taken me out of my element. As I said, I'm just spearheading through life and business, and I'm pulled by other people's issues. And so whenever you have people around you that are at your same level, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what they believe. I used to have listening to what people are telling you, and having an intuition, and then listen to your intuition and say, I should have done that when I felt it right here when that person said this, and I didn't.
Not acting on that intuition and that feeling that you
Correct.
had. And then coming full circle and seeing the true colors show, and the intuition being right.
Oh my God. And I'll even give you an example. I had an employee ex-employee, who would tell me that she was a white witch. She was a white witch, and she practiced white magic. And I always ignored it, because I always thought, like, okay, whatever, get to work. You know what I mean? Like, I always just didn't really listen to it. She appeared to be working well, and she appeared to be bringing me clients. And long story short, I ended up firing her, and she probably ended up causing one of the biggest damages in my company.
Wow.
With all my employees. In fact, I paid attention after 3 of them quit, saying I will not work with her. So just listening, it had nothing to do with me, but just listening to what comes out of the mouth of people.
Yeah.
A partner that came into my life wanted to partner, but he was telling me about his beliefs. He hardly even spoke about God, and and then when he asked me about mine, he would then go behind my back and then talk about, oh, this is ridiculous what she just said. You know what I mean? And here it is, like someone that's not aligned with you, someone who doesn't have your same core values. And, that's taken me such a long time to understand that in your circle, they have to have your same values, your same beliefs, your same morals. Ooh, morals. That's another one that I learned this year. Just drama after drama when it comes to, when you're managing a team, it is the hardest thing. Yeah. And I know you must have employees. You do have employees. I know them. That is the hardest thing is managing your A team and having your A team be solid.
Yeah. And
not having the outside infiltrate in. And as you and I know, the outside is full of negative and evil and corruption.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most important is to have your core and protect it. And also continue nourishing them and how they feel and what they think.
Right, because it's relationships.
Very much.
And even in business, it's still relationships. And you
Correct.
learn how much you still have to nurture the relationships of the team. Honestly, probably one of the most important things you should do as an owner of a company is take care of your people.
Yeah.
But be very careful who your people are.
That's correct.
Yeah, and even speaking life into them and wisdom into them and accountability. Have you ever struggled with the boundary of employee-employer and overstepping too much of a friendship?
All the yes, so much, because one of the things that I have throughout my life, and that's another thing you're gonna learn about me, is that I didn't really have girlfriends when I grew up. I hung out a lot with a lot of boys, because I couldn't relate to women much, or girls, because they're very emotional. And they liked things I didn't like. I didn't like purses and painting my nails and makeup and stuff. I like things that boys like to do. I like to play sports and go skating and play with cars and mud, and it was just so odd to me. And so my employees, when I started getting employees, so all my life, I go through not having girlfriends and just seeing what it's like to have girls hang out, and then they all like each other and travel. And I'm like, wow, that must be so cool. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go hang out with the boys at the bar, so that's what I would do. So when I started having employees, there were women, because they're great at administrative assistant work and clerical work. They're amazing. They're amazing organizers, and I have about 10 females that I love in my life, in my company. Amazing women. And then so I'm like, yay, I have girlfriends I can start playing with, right? And they finally have girls that can hang out with me. But that also, I learned my lesson that there has to be a line between boss and employee. Yeah. And I have to go outside my company to make friends, because it is very difficult to work for someone that is, when it's family or it's friends.
Yeah, and it's a tough boundary. It's interesting, because like even Esther, right? We just got married.
I know. Congratulations. I saw your wedding. I was so jealous. It's a good jealous. You deserve every bit of it. Beautiful paradise. You got married in paradise.
It was amazing.
Your wife is gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah, she really is. When I met her, I very early in our relationship wanted her to work for me, and she did end up working for me. And it was really interesting to walk this out. But it very quickly evolved into not working for, working with would be the terminology that I have, because I had to learn how to do that. And it's been such a journey to learn, because my dream always was the entrepreneur power couple or whatever, right? Like that was always what I've desired and wanted. So much so even that there has been twice inside of our relationship where that went on the altar to be sacrificed, of maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe it should be completely separate. And I've had to be okay with that. Now that we're married, she owns all the businesses with me. We operate together. We've somehow gotten to that place. I think that relationship is unique in itself, and how it's gone is kind of an anomaly. But I look at my relationship with my employees over the years, and I just think back, and why I asked you that, there was times where I became too buddy, and because I care, just like you, I care so much about people that the boundary of Cody's my guy, started to create lack of accountability and blending the line for that. So no, it'll be fine. Like Cody likes me, and then they didn't do their job the right way, and it created tension and friction and almost like an internal bitterness in me of like, but also not wanting to harm the relationship. And I had to go through that with a couple people years ago. And I just remember walking out of that, and one of them became very toxic for my business as well. And it really caused strife inside of my company for like 6 months. And the truth was I knew I needed to get rid of the person, and I didn't want to. And so I asked that, and I was an employer, someone that's employed so many people and has businesses and stuff. It's like, man, have you ever overblended that line? Because like, there's no book that teaches you how to do this. There's no manuscript when you get in entrepreneurship for that. You just kind of touch the hot stove and learn that it's hot and say, I probably shouldn't touch that again.
Yeah.
That's so good.
No, you do hear a little bit of those type of advice in podcasts, so it's really good to.
I guess through this you do, right?
Yeah.
But I guess like for me, maybe I'm just stubborn. Like I just got to go do everything and just like learn the hard way. You can tell me, but I'm like, all right, it's not. Doesn't apply to me. Then I'm like years later, I'm like, don't do that.
I was just talking to an employee when I was telling him, you can be intelligent or you can be wise, and he's like, well, I'm both. I'm like, no, you're either intelligent or you're wise. See, the intelligent, they go through the mistake and they never do it again. But the wise learn from the intelligent.
That's good.
They never.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
That was really good. Okay, so I have a question for you from something you said earlier. And it might be hard to answer, but I just think it's something that should be spoken to.
No worries.
You mentioned as a woman that you do believe that men should lead more in business because you've had to sacrifice a lot.
Yes.
Can you speak to that?
Yes. I think that the family dynamic is perfect. Having the man go and work and have him bring the bread home and have the woman stay at home and raise the children makes the most emotional, physical, mental, healthy babies, because children need their mommies and children need their daddies, and they need to see each role. They're two different roles. And so when the woman steps out of her role, as I have, it is, you know, that you're in an extraordinary environment, right? And you have to do things that are not, let's say, that a woman would be able to handle. You know, it's very difficult. So you become different. As I said, you know, I didn't have girlfriends because I've had to think things more logical, and a woman is very emotional, and so you lose that of yourself. You also lose. I've lost even the desire of even having or taking care or nurturing a child.
Do you think it's lost forever though?
No, it's not actually. What has made me not want to have children is the Bible, actually. Because I do believe in the book of Revelation, I do believe that there is a new system coming. So I believe that, you know, I have a unique courage and lack of fear when it comes to facing things that are very difficult. And people look to me when there's really hard times. So I feel like if I had children, I wouldn't be able to help as many people as I possibly can when the time is right. And I don't want my you know, if I have a child, I'm going to have to give my world to this child as opposed to help the people that need help.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's
really interesting too, because like, let's look at Paul. Paul wrote some of the most incredible letters in the New Testament, and he speaks about how perfect man and woman are made to be, but for him, that's not what he's called to do, right? Mm-hmm. Paul did not have a family, did not have children till the end of his life. Yeah. And it's like, but he also wrote some of the most instrumental letters that shape what the church is today and the word that we read because of his willingness to do that. I think it's really interesting looking at that, because like, I believe that man and woman are made perfect to two become one flesh, right? Just like you said, the family unit is actually designed perfect. And the man should be the hunter. He should go out and hunt, and he should kill, and he should protect the family and spiritually be the head of the family. Now, it's not to say the woman can't, though, because you're like, look, you're a prime example. Like you're a killer. You know, you're out here killing. And it's because you can step into that. And if we go really into it, people would argue the masculine energy, that you more operating within the masculine energy inside of yourself and suppressing the feminine a little bit. Not that that's not there. Your biological makeup, you're still a woman. You know what I mean? You still love, you know, so I'm not saying not that, but it's interesting in the dynamic. But yet there are some examples of key people who sacrificed that for good, to serve in servitude. Do you feel like you're living that in your own way? Is that why you say that with Revelation?
Oh, definitely. I feel like a pillar when it comes to my world. People come to me whenever they're feeling down, or they need some type of wisdom, words of wisdom, any type of encouragement, and just I could be there for them. If I had my own family, I think I would have my own issues, and I wouldn't be able to help people the way that I do now, you know. And I feel that the Bible, it's true what it says, that hard times are coming, and they're going to be harder. And so I kind of want to be a vessel for God. Yeah. And even then, nowadays, you get to see the world. They're trying to erase them, and they're trying to eliminate it, and they're trying to eradicate religion. And you see that. It's
very scary. And we actually are seeing the fruit of it. The brokenness, the wickedness, the sin, the evil, the perversion happening in the world.
It's no longer hiding. Yeah, it's right in your face now.
It's so as a believer that's in the word every day, so aware of it, right? Because our blinders, the curtain's been lifted, and now it's so obnoxiously in your face every day that it is very hard to have a good heart in today's world and see what's going on. And it's like hard to not be able to solve the problem also as like problem solvers. I'm just kind of just sharing right now and riffing a little, but it's, you talk about that and you see that and you say it's coming and it's going to get worse. What do you feel as a believer who's in the word? We talked about that at the beginning of this, that's what you value most. What do you feel like we can do?
I think the number one thing that the world needs is the exact thing that they've hidden. For instance, you and I say God. We say God, that is a title. He has a name. And in fact, the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, it comes out more than 7,000 times. And nobody uses it. Everybody says it's Jesus, but we all know Jesus is his son because he calls him Father, right? But if his name is 7,000 times in the Bible, he's literally telling us, I think he wants us to use it, but we don't. And what is it, right? It's if you look at the Hebrew scriptures, it's YHWH, right?
Yahweh.
It's the tetragrammaton, right? And then you said Yahweh, right? So I did my research.
Yeah, educate us.
I did my research, and I learned that Yahweh was actually created by a group. I don't want to say who this group was because then they'll probably censor it, thinking that I'm being racist or something. But there's this particular group who said that YHWH is pronounced Yahweh just because they do not really want you to say the real pronunciation because it's very powerful. So when I started researching, and my God, this took me, I don't know, it took me about 3-4 months. It did dig into my own research of really what is the right pronunciation when really it's the simplest response. The own Bible actually responds to you of what YHWH really is just by looking at the other names in the Bible. Have you ever heard of King Jehoshaphat? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Jehoshaphat, right? If you look at Jeho, it is the first 3 letters of the tetragrammaton. It's YHW, Jeho. So I Googled Jehoshaphat in Hebrew. There it is. And then I Googled the tetragrammaton in Hebrew, and there it is. And they're the same. So it's YHW is Jeho, and then the other H with a W is Va. So it's Jehovah, Yovah. And it was, to me, it's so logical and so easy. If we're calling Jehoshaphat, and it's the same words, YHW, that's what it starts with. His name is not Yahweh-Shaphat, And they're exactly, you can Google this. So no one really says Jehovah. We all say God, but everybody says Jesus, and his name is, again, I'm a metrics person, right? 967 times or 963, depending on the Bible that you have, is the word Jesus. So if the Bible carries the name Jesus 960 something times, but Jehovah over 7,000, again, depending on the translation you have, why is that name being named, but this one's being hidden by the name God? And then you look at scriptures that say he who said, he who says the name of Jehovah will be saved, in Romans and Joel, just countless scriptures that talk about, I am Jehovah, that is my name. I will not give my glory to anybody else. Jesus, what is the first thing he taught us to pray? Father in the heavens, hallowed be thy name, sanctify your name. He's telling the people, sanctify his name. What does that mean? Raise it up high, glorify it, put it on display. Sanctify it, because someone is covering it, someone dirtied it, someone dug it under, and we're hiding it behind titles. It's like if I came to you and I didn't call you Cody. In fact, this is very interesting. In Genesis, it says we were made in his image, right? You're made in his image. So if you feel jealousy, you feel anger, you feel love, you feel happiness, he gave that to you because he's the same type of same type of way, right? He is this way, and he made you in his image. So Cody likes to be called Cody. You even have the Cody Cottle Show. Your name means so much to you because you feature it. You put it right in front of everybody's faces because that's you. You're Cody Cottle. And if we're made in his image, you don't think that he wants his name to be said. So it does bother me, but I have to tell you this. When I do teach people God's name, it sometimes triggers people. It triggers them and it gets them very upset. So I have to be very careful. So I'll say, yeah, God, God, God. But in my prayers, I pray to Jehovah. Yeah. In my circle, I'm always naming Jehovah. I name Jehovah.
Now I've heard Jehovah Jireh. right? What's Jireh mean? Do you know?
No, I haven't looked at
Because
Jireh.
that I've heard saying, right? Like you hear Jehovah Jireh. So I've heard that God referred to as Jehovah Jireh. It's interesting too, because you have the Greek and you have the Hebrew and you have multiple translations, but I love that. I love learning of that, Jehovah. And I have heard Jehovah, actually. I have heard God referred to as that. I've heard him referred to as Abba, Father.
Abba means father.
Yes.
Yeah, and so does Allah, right? It means also father. It means could be like teacher, rabbi is teacher too. So these are just titles. So there's a difference between a title.
And do you feel because the evolution of the language that we use has just changed, like generationally, right? So do you believe that, because we don't really speak Hebrew,
no,
right? But at that time, they called God Jehovah. And in modern day, through translation, now he's called God. Do you believe that truly means you're saying that God has no power, saying those words versus Jehovah?
Correct. I'll tell you why. First, it's 1 John 5:19. If you read this scripture and it says, the whole world is lying in the power of the wicked one. That's what's one. No, there's this one. I don't know which word it is. I will give it to you, but it says, the God of this system of things is blinding the minds of the unbelievers, not letting the light shine through of Jesus Christ. So it says, the God of this system of things. That scripture is calling Satan a God. So God is just a title. God just means power beyond human.
Right. He's even referred to as the God of this world. At times, the Lord is like, he's referred to that.
So it's like if you go into a room and then you say, hey, you man, or hey, you dude, or hey, you woman, teacher, dad, how many dads are going to turn around? We're saying a title. So you are then diminishing God by saying the word God to him, because it's used loosely. It describes Satan. It describes Jesus. It describes angels, right? They're very powerful gods. The demons are also referred to as gods. So I think that using the title God is diminishing Jehovah.
That's interesting. Yeah,
because that's what makes him so unique. So I think that this world, and at the end in the Revelation, it literally says they will have to know that I am Jehovah. Everybody in the world, when he brings, right in the Great Tribulation in Armageddon, when it comes, he literally says that. He says, everyone will know my name. Everyone will know that I am Jehovah. So, yeah, people can call him God, but which God are you really talking about? But when you say Jehovah God, dear Jehovah God, thank you for everything you've given me. And forgive me of my sins, and help me in the name of your son, Jesus Christ. Of course, we can't go through him without Christ. I know that.
Yeah. It
is very clear. But he has a name, and I think that's what's missing in the world is God's name.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, and I think that you're a researcher, and I love that about you. And now you got me going, I got to go do my research into this, right? Because I'm that type of person. I encourage everyone, do your own research. But that's powerful. Yeah, I think I love learning new things. And you talked about people getting triggered and offended. And I think that it's interesting when we talk, like faith and religion is such a sensitive subject that I think we take things that are shared with us and we are so diehard in that belief, but we don't really understand it well enough to truly talk about it. Oftentimes you see, so then the spirit of offense overcomes us to create opposition within moments where I've kind of learned, I want to intelligently think.
Let me say something. It's because it is easier to fool somebody than to be told that they're being fooled.
Easier to fool somebody than being told that they're being fooled.
Yeah. If you told somebody, hey, you've been lied to all this time, they reject it. No, I haven't. Yeah. But to fool them and lie to them, it's easier. They'll believe it. They'll believe a lie over you telling them, hey, they lied to you. Wow. No. Resistance.
That's powerful. Sparks a lot of great thoughts for me in different things. And because I do believe that God's word has so much power within it. I've experienced it, and the root, I've been more and more now in my studies getting into Hebrew and Greek and translations, which is a different level of studying the word of God. Because you go back to the root, and sometimes the translations change what the sentences are, even how they're perceived. It's kind of a little bit different. So I actually like to contrast like multiple translations.
I have 12 Bibles. How many do you have?
I got 3.
Okay. 12 different versions.
12 versions
of Bibles.
Okay, of like
and yes,
different
I've opened all of them, and I go to that one scripture and I read them on all 12, and I'm just like, what?
Now they're all different translations.
All of them.
Okay, and you have the Hebrew and the Greek?
Yeah, I have one Hebrew.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hebrew attracts me a little bit more. I think maybe because I knew that Jesus spoke it.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, we're down to the last few minutes here, and this has been awesome. Is there anything else on your heart that you just want to share with the audience today? It can be anything. Nothing's off limits.
We're living in a world where things are being hidden. The truth is literally right in your face, but it is being covered, and it's. Do your research. Like, go out there, and whenever you hear something, don't take it for face value. Yeah. Just go out and research for yourself and find out the truth for yourself with anything, with business, with religion, with and anything that you want. Do the homework and find out for yourself. Make it your own. Make the truth your own.
Yeah, and question things and ask why.
Question everything.
That's so
maybe
good.
the next time I'll show you other things I have found out.
Yeah. No, we have to do another podcast now. This went by way too fast.
I'm sorry.
But I think that it's a great thing when conversation goes fast. It's good. I love what you ended on, and I think that you're hitting a point that this is media we're creating right now, right? And media is a really interesting thing right now because there's a lot of input going in our brain. You also hit on that. And just the reminder of telling people to not take even this media at face value or any other in the world, but to do your own research and to question things and to ask why and to dig. If more humans actually did that, the world would be a better place.
100%.
We would actually be intelligent. We would actually know why we say things we say, why we believe things we believe, right? And it's so cool because I've been in a season of doing that because I realized there's a lot of things I said and did and believed that I didn't know why I said, did, or believed it. Yeah. So then it was like, let me research this. And some aligned and some was like, no, I don't believe that. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I had to do the research. And then what I love is when you come to a conversation like this and you've actually done your research, it's actually you get to bring wisdom. And the unfortunate thing is a lot of people will take that wisdom and just run with it. And the problem is you don't know which wisdom is true and which isn't. So then it goes back to that constantly what you just told us, go do your own research.
Go do your research. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Check what I just said.
Yeah, go fact checker.
Go fact checker.
Not on Wiki.
Thank you for having me, Cody. You are awesome, amazing human being. I see your heart, and may Jehovah God bless you and your marriage, your beautiful wife, and I hope to see you and talk to you again.
Oh, you will, definitely, guys. Well, hey, but how do people connect with you?
Oh, yes. Well, I do have a social media thanks to, I'm coming out now. It's at I am Alexandra Rodriguez. I'm Alexandra Rodriguez, and then my business is at IR Business 3 because it has 3 services, or irb.tax is my online platform for virtual tax preparation from wherever you are. You can just file with my company. It's a pretty cool website. I designed it myself.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Guys, go connect with her. She's an absolute powerhouse, and she's doing some amazing things, even with immigration and with taxes. And I just love your heart behind the businesses that you're building. It's been an honor to have you on the show today. Thank you for coming from Vegas out here. You're busy, giving us some of your time.
Anytime for you, Cody. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hey, guys, just as we close up here, take what she shared with you and let it inspire you. Let it stir something in you and go implement it into your life. My challenge for you is go research one belief system that you can't answer right now why you believe it. Go actually do your own research into one thing that you believe, one thing that you say, one thing that you do that you don't actually know why you believe it or do it or say it. So that's your homework today, guys. And tune in and share this with someone that can get value from it. Go make today great.